Okay. So here we are to discuss episode 6 of WandaVision, the all-new Halloween Spooktacular. Yeah, there was just lots to pick up. Obviously, the big lead-in from last week was the recasting of Pietro to suddenly be a different movie studio-owned franchise at the time version of Quicksilver, which they didn't address as such. I wouldn't say at all, because that was why she went kick-ass. Because obviously, the version of Pietro we know is also kick-ass. So what it's actually hinting at is the fact that even though she may not realize it, she's literally moving things to different universes. So she's pulled in from Fox's what are they called, X-Men. It's really late. Fox's X-Men universe. She's pulled in Quicksilver because her brother is dead. But in essential, what she's also done is she's acknowledging the fact that the guy who looks like her brother is actually Kick-Ass in the Kick-Ass movies because it's the same actor. So it's kind of really acknowledging a multiverse theory. So you don't pick up on that at all, obviously. Then.
I've only watched Kick-Ass and sequel once.
Okay.
So I had no idea he was the main actor.
Yeah, Aaron somebody. I can't remember his name. He's actually a British guy. Yeah.
Wait, you speak about Pietro?
Yeah.
Oh.
/ Kick-Ass.
Pietro from the MCU universe.
Yes, yeah.
I thought you were talking about...
Not Evan Peters, no.
Yeah,
not American Horror.
That's what puzzled me.
Not American Horror, dude.
Because you were talking about him now, you didn't make it clear to me that you were actually still talking about original MCU Quicksilver at that point. That's the other reason I was confused, because I was thinking, I'm pretty sure I don't remember Evan Peters in Kick-Ass.
No.
To be fair, I don't actually remember other Pietro in Kick-Ass either. So,
but it's him. So that was cool. It sort of, I don't know, it felt like the story really took a lot of leaps and bounds this week. Obviously moving on with hints of Monica Rambeau possibly getting powers with mutating blood.
Or cancer. Because it was mutating cells specifically.
Yeah. Because she has been Captain Marvel, hasn't she?
In the comics, she is the original Captain Marvel.
Oh, before Carol?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And a completely different Captain Marvel. But yeah, she's, I think, I don't know what her comic book origins are, but given that I used to play the Marvel Superheroes role-playing game when I was in school, so we're talking 80s.
Yeah.
I think, and she was an established Avengers then, so she's probably been around since at least the 70s in the comics.
Yeah.
But completely different powers, because she's one I was saying to you in the comics, she can basically turn into any form of energy.
Yeah.
And obviously her style was very kind of blaxploitation. I can't think of the actor's name, but she was in Mars Attacks. She was
Pam Grier.
Yes.
Jackie Brown.
It's very that sort of 70s blaxploitation. So when we saw her as Geraldine when they moved into the 70s episode where she had the big afro, and the flares, that was kind of very Captain Marvel in her non-superpowered alter ego stylings.
Okay.
So yeah, it will be interesting to see if they are actually going down that route with Monica, whether they're going to actually presumably they won't actually necessarily call her Captain Marvel, seeing as there already is a Captain Marvel in the MCU.
Which they've not done a lot with yet, so it's not like even it would be her retiring.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. What I wasn't sure of, so you had obviously Quicksilver is also aware of the situation because he talks to her about the whole thing. She has that flash moment of seeing that Quicksilver, but with the bloody wounds of her Quicksilver. Oh, this is getting confusing. So does that mean it's another reanimated dead body, but for whatever reason, because of how she's pulling from realities, he's got the different face.
Or it could just be the trauma.
Or what we did spot was the cinema in the town square was showing 2 films: The Parent Trap, a film about twins, and The Incredibles. And what's The Incredibles' son's power? The speed. So it was kind of all meta and tying in, and they're both Disney properties.
Plus, I think as well, you can also just look at The Incredibles as being it's a film about a superhero family, and that's essentially what WandaVision is about.
Yeah. So I don't think it meant anything other than it was just a nice background nod from the art department. Obviously, we had the trio of Monica, Kat Dennings, and
Agent Wu.
Wu. I remember Wu. I couldn't remember if he was Mr. or Agent. And what's going on? Yeah. Oh, excuse me. And I wonder how many people yawned. Well, we have only 5 people watch this, so I wonder how many of the 5 people yawned.
There you go. Hi, Helen and Matt.
Hi. So obviously now Wanda has got pissed off. Vision knows more.
Vision knows a lot more.
Vision knows a lot more. But what I'm wondering is although he is self-aware, he's not original Vision. He's her reanimated corpse Vision. So presumably she has control. So when he properly confronts her, he doesn't necessarily have his powers if she takes them away from him.
Well, it's also this episode obviously also confirms that he is absolutely dependent on remaining within the hex zone.
Yes,
because of obviously what happens. That's probably one fan theory confirmed, or possibly debunked, depending on where you were. Another fan theory that's probably definitely been debunked is what's special about Agnes.
Yes,
because there's been a lot of fan theories floating around about her.
Cat chasing an eclair. Brilliant. So this is Shadow, everybody. Shadow has decided he's going to be in this. Shadow, look at the camera. There you go. Good boy. Right, now piss off. Go on. Down. Oh, he went back legs first, bless him. You all right? Yeah, he's okay.
Yeah, he went trotting off.
He went trotting off with his tail in the air. He's fine.
But there's a lot of theories around, because of, I guess it's the most name of Agnes possibly being someone like Agatha Harkness, who from the comics is a character who certainly is one of the characters responsible for teaching Wanda magic. And obviously, this tied in sort of quite nicely with the fact that I think it's probably, well, if it isn't, you're watching this and you know we do spoilers, that this is a lead in to Doctor Strange 2. So there are very clear ties with Scarlet Witch and magic. I'm pretty sure that Scarlet Witch is in Doctor Strange 2.
I do not know that, to be fair. Don't jump up there again.
Because they do seem to be, because certainly with some of the stuff I've picked up, they do seem to be in, I mean, I appreciate we're talking about MCU at the moment, but they seem to be moving away from like the clearly defined team structure of these characters only appear together, this character is always solo. They do seem to be doing a lot more sort of portmanteau mix and match going forward now.
Well, I think they've more or less done that since Civil War. Not wholly, but I mean, that was supposed to be Captain America 3, and it was essentially Avengers Light. And then, you've had, like, Ragnarok. Hulk was a big part of it. Stuff like that. So, yeah, I think that is definitely where they're going. I think they're going more on the lines of it's not a Thor movie, it's not an Iron Man movie, it's an MCU movie, and it's called this.
And, you'll have your primary character. So, obviously, Doctor Strange 2 is obviously primarily going to be Doctor Strange, but you are going to have other characters in it as well. Again, I think one of the things I've read about the Spider-Man 3, whichever, it must be 3, because you had...
Yeah, the next one is 3.
Far From Home and Homecoming.
Yeah.
Or whichever one round it is. But Doctor Strange apparently is effectively becoming the Tony Mentor character for Spider-Man. So again, you kind of got that sort of blending going on.
And didn't somebody this week confirm they're in that film? I think this popped up as some sort of promoted article on a feed of someone somewhere.
What about Doctor Strange being in?
No, about somebody more or less confirming they're in Spider-Man 3.
Don't know, because I generally try to avoid reading, and as I know it's about something I've already seen, I generally try to avoid spoiling myself, essentially.
You either know about that or you don't.
Yeah.
And I can't remember who it is, so it won't spoil anything for me, because I have forgotten who it is.
But sort of on a very circuitous route, I think it's safe to say that we can probably rule out the fact that Agnes is actually Agatha Harkness or anything like that. She is basically very clearly just another inhabitant of Westview. Possibly maybe slightly more aware, because she's clearly been closer. You know, she's one of the principal supporting characters from a sitcom.
But
so
you had
knows more.
But... you had the other dude, the other neighbour,
who I think is actually her husband in sitcom land.
Yeah, who said to Wanda, "Do you need me to change anything for you?"
Yeah.
When she was complaining that she said to him, "Isn't Vision on duty as neighbourhood watch?" And he was like, "No," because that was obviously Vision's excuse to get out of the house. So him and Agnes do seem to have a slight, or not totally be under the spell, which has kind of been hinted at, but that would really kind of seem to cement it a little bit more. And then, of course, Kat Dennings' character, whose name completely escapes me, has now been morphed into the town, with the town growing and gaining its own circus. So I'm going to stick my neck out and hazard a guess that will be a large part of next week's plot. So this was... The titles for this were very Malcolm in the Middle, I thought.
I never watched it, so I'll take your word for it.
I watched about the first 2 or 3, I think probably in about the year 2000. But I seem to remember that kind of weird squiggly writing and the kind of jerky, poor cine quality, camcorder quality footage being... I have to look it up afterwards.
I mean, I would probably, just from what I know, but I'd probably say something like Malcolm in the Middle, because a lot of the show focused on the twins' perspective.
Yeah.
It was the twins narrating. In fact, it wasn't even just the twins, it was, and I'm really sorry, I'm a bit like Pietro in this, is that I don't know which twin is which. It was Tommy and or Billy was doing the narration, and it was very much kind of, the stuff that focused on the twins was from his perspective.
Yeah.
So whether that was Tommy and or Billy, I don't know which one it was. Obviously, you still then had the stuff where it kind of focuses back on sort of Wanda, but the actual sort of sitcom-y stuff was from the twins' perspective.
Yeah.
So it's probably also leading into the fact as well that, given that they are very clear, you know, from what we've seen happen to Vision when he left, I think there's possibly also parallels here with the comic story with House of M, which is that presumably the twins themselves won't have any existence outside of the Hex.
Yeah.
Because they are, you know, Wanda's Hex creations as well from, you know, her dead husband, essentially.
Yeah. And this was their first Halloween.
Yeah.
She acknowledged that. So, you know, it's not like there's even any kind of pretending they're 15 in her own bubble.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And it's obviously... And she... and that was what I was going to come on to. So, she claimed... Because he said, "How do you do this?" She didn't know. But then she talked about sort of just feeling nothing. I can't remember her exact phrasing now. But she blipped. She after. So is that implying that actually, unlike everyone else who blipped, who was there and then suddenly back with no awareness of the 5-year gap, was she aware of being nothing for 5 years, and that's what's driven her bonkers? That's what I'm wondering. Because it was a little more than just I was grieving, I was hurt. So is there something in that? I think there might be. But yeah, I mean, we have 2 episodes left. So next week, if this was noughties-ish, so next week we're into possibly the sort of 10s. So over the last 10 years, What's been a big family sitcom?
Well, I'm still, again, having kind of reversed my sort of thing. I think next sitcom will probably still be noughties going into tens.
Right.
Because when this ended, I was thinking, so, if it's an 8-episode long series and they're literally doing, a sitcom for every one of the decades, of course, forgetting that episode 4 technically wasn't a sitcom episode. It was the what's going on in the outside world. Obviously brought in Monica and sort of Kat Denning's character, isn't it? I suddenly thought, because it's sort of, I can almost say Darcy Bustle, but that's someone completely different.
I think she's a ballerina.
She is very much a ballerina and an incredible cosmologist as well, apparently.
Is that someone who makes drinks?
What, cosmologist?
Yeah.
No, someone that does stuff with the cosmos.
Oh.
It's an actual thing.
Oh.
With drinks would be a mixologist, I think.
Oh, I think he's making cosmos. Yeah, that's why.
Okay. So obviously you've had like 50s, 60s, 70s, which was the first 3 episodes. Then obviously you had, and now in the real world, episode 4. Episode 5 was very much 80s.
Yeah, because that was the whole I bet we've been together for a million years. Oh, Modern Family would be probably what they go for, though.
Of course, yeah. Sorry, not Modern Family. It was Family Ties.
Yeah. I was Lisa Married with Children. I knew that was wrong. Gosh, I used to love Family Ties. I shouldn't get this wrong. I can sing teaching.
So yes, and so I'd say, obviously tonight's episode 6, very much a 90s episode.
Yeah, of course it's going to be Modern Family. Yeah. It couldn't be anything else, surely.
When was Friends?
90s. Not family, though. It's not family oriented.
True.
These have all been family sitcoms, or based on a couple that become a family. If you go back to like your Honeymooners and your I Love Lucy's and whatever else. But what I did find interesting was the end credits. Obviously, this was the Halloween thing. Was very Munsters, which was again a family sitcom. So it's all the family sitcom thing is obviously where she's at. Yeah, Modern Family, 100%. It has to be Modern Family, which I think will be interesting because that in itself had the, or it started life, and they kind of, they changed their thought behind it, didn't they? After a couple of seasons,
as the mockumentary.
Yeah, with the whole to camera stuff that they then kind of said isn't really to camera; it's more in character in their own head stuff.
Yes,
even though they would have do it in twos. Anyway, so whatever. Yes, so look forward to her next week as Gloria. Or Claire. What do you reckon? Claire's the neurotic one.
Claire's the neurotic control freak.
Yeah.
She's absolutely Claire.
Yeah, it will 100% be Claire. So will that then make...
Agnes would be Sofia Vergara.
Which again will be a lot of fun. But we've got this circus as well.
Yeah.
So, but again, oh my God, are they going to have Fizbo?
Possibly.
Because if she's Claire, that makes Pietro Mitch.
Yes. They possibly may not be quite as blatant as that, and it may very well not be Modern Family. Given the fact
I really want it to be one. I love Modern Family. I fucking love Modern Family.
I think an awful lot of people love Modern Family.
Our 6 viewers, I bet they all love Modern Family.
If you don't, what's wrong with you?
Do you actually just say that? Helen, have you seen Modern Family? Because I can imagine it's possibly the sort of show Helen just hasn't caught on to, but would love. Absolutely love. Go back to season 1, do all 11 seasons. You will pee your pants. You'll love it. So we're just talking about Modern Family now, aren't we, really? Just love Modern Family. Especially the one where Jay, Gloria and Phil go for a coffee and end up as extras in the background of that commercial.
Only because you know that would be you.
I have no idea what you mean. I've been an extra. I was never like that. Right, let's just stop because we're talking about Modern Family now.